This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so good morning, everybody. Again, thank you for coming out this morning to our webinar in partnership with the Etowah, Dekalb, Cherokee Mental Health Board, also known as CED Mental Health. This morning, we've got Teresa Dawson, who is the clinical director for CED, coming to talk to us today about learning to process and cope with COVID-19 infections in our state and personal fears both. Also, some tips on decompression and stress relieving too, to help focus on the information that you need for recovery. So, Teresa, with no further ado, I will go ahead and sign you as the presenter. Hang on one second.
Okay.
All right, it's all yours, Teresa.
All right, thank you so much, and it's a pleasure to be here with everyone. I'm just going to go through this presentation, and then at the end of it, I will get some questions. Hopefully I can answer them, okay? All right, so let me share my screen here. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. So we are with CED Mental Health Center, and Sheila Hurley, our executive director, is on here today. She wasn't able to present, so she asked me to do that for her, so that's what we're doing here today. All right. And there's been a lot of people affected. I think just about everybody has been affected by this COVID-19 virus. There's a lot of ways that if it does affect us physically, financially, and emotionally. And what I'm going to talk about is the emotional part of it. And we'll address some of the physical and financial in doing so. Okay. So let's see if I can get this. Okay, that is taking up some of my screen there, but is there any way I can make my screen full screen? Will?
Hey, Teresa. You should be able to minimize the dock on there and be able to full screen that. I can't, from what I'm seeing on my side, I'm showing the full slideshow, the full screen.
Okay, yeah, I just can't see it on mine. Let me see.
Teresa, you might also consider changing where it says view everyone to hide everyone, and that'll increase your screen size as well.
Perfect. Okay. So with sickness and death, even some people have experienced that. Hopefully not a lot of us. But when somebody that you know has become ill with the virus or who has actually died from the virus, that can be very devastating, especially with all the new rules and regulations about, no visiting in the hospital and very limited folks at the funeral homes. And so it can be a very traumatic event when somebody that you know gets sick or dies from the coronavirus. Okay. The loss of contact with others is a huge deal. It affects us all as a society. I'm a hugger. And, when you can't give all those hugs, because of what's going on, it kind of, I don't want it to change my personality, but I feel like it has. And that's a big deal to me, and I'm sure it is to a lot of other people, just not being able to socialize with others, unable to attend church or any other gatherings. A lot of times that's very important to us, and when we're all of a sudden not able to do it, there's a profound emotional effect there. I know a lot of churches and even social gatherings have come up with creative ways, just like we have today, to at least give you something, you know. A lot of churches are doing it on Facebook. A lot of them have the drive-in type church where you go and you park and you listen to it through your radio. So, you know, people have become very creative during all this. Unable to visit friends and family, you know, that we're used to hanging out with. And if we have somebody in a nursing home, you know, that's pretty much been impossible, but they've come up with some creative ways there too, you know, recently to manage that. A lot of our activities have kind of gone away. Unable to go to the gym and work out, unable to go to parks, national parks, and even local parks are closed. Unable to travel because of, you know, hotels and shopping centers, restaurants, and a big one is the hair and nail salons being closed. I hear they are opening up today and they are all booked. But that's a big deal for us, you know, just not being able to do the things that we're used to doing, and it affects us emotionally. A big emotional impact is the loss of income. Lots of jobs have been lost. Sometimes they're allowed to apply for unemployment and sometimes not. But a lot of times those unemployment benefits are not sufficient enough to maintain the lifestyle that you're used to having. A lot of small businesses are shut down, and that's, you know, that's a big deal to those business owners. Worry and anxiety, you know, a lot of times we think, how long is this going to last? Will I get sick from the virus, or somebody that I love get sick or even die from the virus? And, you know, previously it talked about the elderly are the ones that are at really high risk, but there's been a lot of children in the news lately, and that scares us all. And then we have the extra added burdens. We're having to be teachers for our kids. And that's not easy a lot of times, especially, you know, if it's been a while since you've been to school, you know, and then they've got this whole new way of doing things. It can be quite challenging. There's no daycare available, so a lot of us are having to work from home. And that brings a whole new set of challenges with technology requirements that are required at home. So what can we do to cope with all this? There's lots and lots and lots of things we can do to cope. And I hope this helps you. This is the whole reason for the presentation, to give you some ways that you can manage even with this horrible virus that's going around. Practice self-care is a big thing. We should do that all the time, but especially now when we do have so much stress in our life. Take a long bath, get out the bubbles and the oils, and soak until you wrinkle. That's always a good stress reliever. Get some fresh air, and that's, you know, a lot of people recommend that that's the most important thing that you can do is to get outside and get some fresh air. Have your morning coffee outside, take a walk, go fishing, plant something, read a book outside, or anything else that you can think of that you can just do outside. Get the fresh air. Maintain a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy foods. And I found this list of foods that actually boost your immune system. So this is a good time to recognize these foods and to, to begin making them a good part of your diet every day. And it's a good variety of things. I think somebody can find something that they like on that list. So eating healthy. And then exercising. You can even do that outside, but just taking a walk, stretching, running, or even just dancing, put on some music that you like and just dance like nobody's watching, because nobody is. And then just taking time to relax, making sure you're getting enough sleep. And we're going to talk about some ways that we can help with all this stuff too. Progressive muscle relaxation, that's when you start with one muscle and you just move on to other ones. Like you can even start with your toes and just relax them completely, and then go on to your arch and your heel and your ankle and your and when you begin to do that, I've used this myself, and I hardly ever make it to my knees. That's how relaxing it is to use that. And then just taking some deep breaths at time, breathing in your nose, hold it for a couple seconds, and then breathe out slowly. That helps us to relax. Read a novel, something you've been putting off for a long time. Just now's a good time to start reading that. And yoga, a lot of people do that, and it can be very relaxing. And this is a big one to me, socialize or staying connected with other people. We've had to get very creative in doing this too. We can call, our friends and family, text them, Skype or FaceTime, email them, or just go the old school way and write a letter to somebody that you haven't talked to in a while. And then here is a list of the news. It doesn't matter what time you turn on the TV or the radio or anything, you're going to hear a lot of news about this virus. And experts say just limiting consumption to reliable sources. The Center for Disease Control has an updated information about the virus every day. The U.S. Substance Abuse and Mental Health Services Administration and the World Health Organization. The reason I put the Substance Abuse and Mental Health Organizations, SAMHSA runs that, and they have some really good information. A lot of people, unfortunately, turn to alcohol and substances during this time. And we want them to have some resources too. And I'm going to give you some more of those in just a little bit. Working from home can be a huge challenge, especially if you have kids in the house, and those daycares being closed, So these are some tips that I found for working from home. You need to be upfront about the expectations from your employer. Again, you have to get creative a lot of times, in what you can do and what you can't do from home. We've been kind of taking turns coming to the office and working from home, because there are some things that we can only do from the office. Set up a virtual babysitter. I know some folks that have actually done this. A lot of times, parents tell their kids not to spend so much time on the with the iPad and watching YouTube and all that, but now's the time to be a little lenient, when you need to. You can monitor what they're doing and what they're watching, or you can just, set up a virtual room with, it can be Skype, with just somebody there. I know one girl that's, her babysitter actually gets on the phone and Skypes with the kid, and she's got supplies ready. So they're making crafts and they're doing, a lot of things that they would do if they were at her house, but they're just doing it separately through a virtual babysitter. Plan activities that don't need supervision with your kids. Prioritize your schedule. If morning time, is best, then schedule the must-do things in the morning. Or if afternoon time's best, that's when you want to schedule that. And what really has to be done today, and some other things that just need to be done soon. Split the work. If you have a spouse, you may say, I'm going to work this hour, and you take care of the kids, or and you work the next hour, or you can do it a half a day apiece. Reward good behavior with your kids. Take short breaks. Everybody needs that. I know when I'm working at home, if I just get out, get up and walk outside for a minute and come back in, I'm good to go for a little while. And then stress less about screen time. That's what I was talking about. The YouTube videos, and there's some cartoons they can watch on their iPads, and just a lot of different things they can do with that. And sometimes you might have to get creative with office space. And some of these things are showing, it looks like one guy's actually in the bathroom with his office space. But you can go outside, and have your place anywhere that's going to be quiet and away from distractions. So, and then, of course, we need to, a lot of restrictions were lifted today, as of today, but we still need to make sure that we do what we can to stay safe. And that includes washing your hands, covering your coughs and sneezes, clean and sanitize everything, and social distancing, wear a mask, and use hand sanitizer often. So these things are still important to do. Even though a lot of restrictions have been lifted, we still need to take care of ourselves and, do what we can to keep ourselves safe. Know when to get help. A lot of times, being this shut off from society and the norms can lead to generalized anxiety disorder, major depressive disorder, and agoraphobia or panic disorder. So I'm going to give you what the DSM-5 criteria, that's the tool that we use to diagnose, is for generalized anxiety disorder, major depression, and agoraphobia. With major depression, 5 or more of the following symptoms must be present within the same 2-week period. Depressed mood, loss of interest or pleasure, and of course that is most of the day, nearly every day. Feelings of sad, empty, hopelessness, tearful a lot of times. A markedly diminished interest in pleasure in all or almost all activities. Things that you used to enjoy, you're just not enjoying those anymore. Significant weight loss or weight gain, a decrease in appetite or an increase in appetite nearly every day. Fatigue or loss of energy every day. Feelings of worthlessness or excessive inappropriate guilt nearly every day. Diminished ability to think or concentrate nearly every day. Recurrent thoughts of death, not just the fear of dying, but thoughts of death, and then with anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder, excessive anxiety or worry that occurs most days. And with anxiety, it's a little bit different, whereas that's depression was just a 2-week period. Anxiety, they want you to have this for at least 6 months before you have the diagnosis. The individual finds it difficult to control the worry. And in order for it to be a diagnosis, it needs to be 3 or more of these symptoms. But in children, it only needs to be 1. Restlessness or feeling keyed up or on edge, all the time. Being easily fatigued, difficulty concentrating, or your mind going blank. Sometimes it's, your mind racing, and sometimes it's just like there's nothing there. Irritability, muscle tension, sleep disturbance, trouble falling to sleep, staying asleep, and then some symptoms of agoraphobia. There's some lifestyle symptoms, and it's becoming isolated or detached, feeling afraid or being alone, overdependence on others, being afraid of losing control in public, avoiding places that may be difficulty to escape from, refusing to leave the house. And then some physical symptoms would be a racing heart, excessive sweating, feeling sick, chest pains, feeling faint or dizzy or trembling. So any of those symptoms would be, if you're experiencing them, would be a good time to get some help. And then where to go for the help. There's always your local mental health center. And then there's some private practice therapists. A lot of times they don't prescribe medication, so which is a good thing. If you can do it without the medication. Sometimes the medication, I will say, is necessary, if nothing more than for just a while to lift your mood for a while until you're able to begin to use the therapeutic techniques that your therapist teach you. A psychiatrist can prescribe medicine. A psychologist cannot. Or your primary care physician. If you feel like the medicine in itself would be enough, your primary care physician can give you medication for depression or anxiety. The agoraphobia or the panic, a lot of times that's a therapeutic technique that works with that, not necessarily medications. All right, and I put some helplines that are available here: substance abuse, mental health services, administration develop distress helpline. Sorry, and that's the one that's run by SAMHSA. It's a great resource tool. They can give you all of the information of resources available in our area. The National Suicide Prevention Helpline. That's always good to have if it gets that bad. And then our phone number, and we are available 24/7 by phone to help you with that, okay? And then there's an app for that, as there is with almost everything. So a really, really good app to help with therapeutic techniques. And all of these apps recommend that you do this in conjunction with therapy. But it doesn't hurt to download them and look at what they teach, because there's some really, really good information here. The PTSD coach is a great one because it really looks at a lot of different symptoms. There's a list of the things that they help you with. It's actually developed by the Veterans Administration and is used with veterans who have PTSD. But when you have PTSD, it's also associated with anxiety and depression and even agoraphobia. So a lot of these things that are mentioned in here will also work with those type things. And then some other apps that are available is EFT tapping. It's for PTSD and anxiety. And it's just a really calming technique that you can do anywhere and anytime. Lumosity, it's games to improve your brain, and it helps with like concentration and memory. And a lot of times when you have some depression going on or anxiety, you have some problems with concentration and memory. My mood journal is just a journal for you to journal your mood and how it's, you know, so that you can see if whatever you're doing is working, if it's getting better, or if there's no improvement and maybe you need to try something else. So the mood journal is just a way to keep up with that. Fear Tools is really good for anxiety. CBT iCoach, that's also developed by the Veterans Administration, and it is very good with sleep. It just helps you with the muscle relaxation technique that I was talking about, and then just some imagery and stuff like that that really helps you get a good night's sleep. Mood Path, this is a app for depression, and then the Depression CBT is a really good tool for depression. Some other resources that are really good to help with. A lot of times when people do become depressed or anxious, you know, with everything that's going on, it displays in anger, you know. So during this time, you may find a higher rate of child abuse or domestic violence, even, you know, crimes. So there's some tools that some resources that can help you to report any of that, or to get help for yourself if you're experiencing any of that. And then there's elder abuse that we, you know, our elderly people are very alone right now. And I know I've got elderly neighbors, and I try to, you know, swing by and, you know, take them some fruit or something, you know, just sitting on the porch and go on my way, or I call them, you know. So it's important for us to keep a check on them. And if we do notice any suspected abuse, we need to absolutely report that. And then there's the information for the substance abuse from SAMHSA, and they have some really good referral sources for that. Okay, are there any questions?
So if there's any questions, you put those in the comment in the chat box here. Also, just a recording will be found later today at our website there with the link provided. You guys can feel free to watch that later again if you'd like to. And since I don't see we have any questions right now, I'll start the ball rolling with the question. So Teresa, have you guys seen a change in your cases and calls and anything as far since the stay-at-home order was implemented recently, and now the safer-at-home order? Have you guys seen a change in your cases?
We have. We actually are doing most of our therapy over the phone, and as clinical director, I review a lot of the charts, you know, so I'm constantly looking to see how we're doing with that. And I can tell you that our clients are absolutely thrilled that we haven't stopped the therapy. You know, they at least have someone to talk to express their anxiety and, you know, whatever else is going on with them, and get therapeutic help. So that way it's really changed, but you know, because they're not doing it face to face, but it appears just from looking at all this, they're happy not to come in, you know, and not to take a chance on getting sick. And our therapists are working from home, you know, so they're they're able to continue to give the quality service that we've always given, just over the phone rather than in person. They even still are able to mail them stuff and give them some homework and stuff to do. So it's been different in that aspect. As far as numbers go, we have had a substantial amount of new clients that have called in and asked for referrals. And I will say that it has been substantially higher with substance abuse, just to get some help with that. So we get them in as quick as possible, and we've even ramped up the services so that more people, I'm actually helping with the substance abuse part of it, because that does seem to be the greater need, right now. So, a few more in mental health and substantial more in substance abuse. Hope that answers your question.
It does, yeah. It makes sense with people, having to stay at home or being laid off. They have more time on their hands, so it's good to find out with this kind of information that you gave us today, as far as things to take up your time. I mean, take up a new hobby, get outside. I mean, that's something I try to do myself. Is I try to run pretty often just to stay feeling well. So I can tell if I don't get out there and do something outside and stay active, I feel pretty terrible.
Right, absolutely. Okay, let's see. And then here's our contact information. That's our main number to our offices. It'll reach all 3 offices, and Sheila and I can both be reached by that number. You can just ask for us. And there's our email addresses. So I'll be happy to, I know this is recorded, but I'll be happy to email you, Will, a copy of this so that you'll have it for your other members, if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. Email a copy of it. I can just save it on our side. It says someone would like to review the slides or needs more information, I can pass that along. Go ahead.
Well, thank you so much for having us. We are here to help in any way we can. And it may not be you personally that's experiencing some of this stuff, but I know with my friends and family, I've seen other people that are, and I've recommended that they've gotten help. I've recommended the apps for some of them, so if there's anything at all we can do, please feel free to call us.
Okay, well, I don't see any more questions on here, so looks like I'll go ahead and stop the recording really quick.
Okay.
Hang on one sec.